So, Joe Rogan just approved all of my critiques of the older generation to be true. Now, guys, I don't watch Joe Rogan. Not a fan for the reasons, I don't know. It was just an intuition thing, and lo and behold, I've just seen this interview he did with Theo Von, and I was actually watching for the sake of Theo Von because I like the guy. Now, conversation they were having and the way Joe Rogan was behaving and being condescending and patronizing, and the reason for it, case in point, everything I've been saying. Happy Sabbath. What is up, winning team? It is the Sabbath, and I'm in a really good mood because I just, like when you're getting annoyed, sometimes I get frustrated and I'm just like really annoyed, and other times I just have to laugh. And like, I woke up, obviously, you know me, I slept all of damn near like 2 hours. So I'm awake. It's like 3 a.m. Yeah. I'm figuring out what I'm going to do with my time. Go onto YouTube and I see this video. And it's this girl running a Christian dance class. And I was crying of laughter. Because like we're literally doing absolutely anything other than anything to actually further the kingdom. Because what do you mean Christian dance class? What's that supposed to mean? Like, it's either God's either in something or he's not. It doesn't have to be Christian this, Christian that. And I was watching it. It was making me laugh because the girl was taking herself so seriously. And obviously, don't get me wrong, I love that she wants to do something like positive and good. But it's just like is this all we do? Is this all we do? We just use Christianity as a label. Because again, I'm like, I don't think you need to even label anything. If it's glorifying to God, it is. And if it's not, it's not. If it's acceptable before God, it is. And if it's not, it's not. We don't have to put a label on it. But anyways, and the bit that got me was the woman in the comments like, it's so nice that you're going to help protect the purity of young women. And that was the bit that made me laugh. I'm like, protect the purity? If we want to protect purity, we should be taking down these leaders, these hypocrites, if we want to protect the purity of the young women. You know what I'm saying? And I've been talking a lot about that with you guys, about like how all of the sexualization that happened to me as a child was forced onto me by adults. Now I was there living innocently, not by me getting caught up in the world. And I know that that's not just my tale, it's a tale for many people. And so it's so funny, like now we're all praising a Christian dance. How about we actually do the work? That's what I'm saying. This is a perfect example. That's why I was laughing. So like, it's the perfect example of everything I'm saying. That's why I keep laughing about stuff. Yeah, because I'm like, everything is just proving what I'm saying. We want to protect the purity of the young women until it's actually protecting them from the predators, until it's actually, addressing the predators in the world, until it's actually having the uncomfortable conversations. You want to protect the purity of the young women? Oh yeah? Are you prepared to address it if they tell you that so-and-so did something to them in the church building or in the family? Yeah, I bet you don't. That's what I'm saying. It's all fake and phony around here. So back to Joe Rogan. Yeah, this got me. So he's Theo starts saying a lot of things don't add up, and like the imagery of it all, it's so poetic because you have Joe who's sitting there with a smug look on his face, yeah, in his studio, whatever, and you got Theo who looks like the physical manifestation of how I also feel, where you've just been doing a lot of thinking, because that's actually what he kept saying. I've been thinking a lot, right? I've been thinking a lot. His beard's all grown out. He looks like he's been mentally going through it, yeah? In the best way possible. I actually think he looks better like that, but it's beside the point. Anyway, so he's asking all these questions. Like, these are all very reasonable questions that he's asking about, like, what's happening in the world and with the wars and everything and all of this. And I was thinking, you know what? I have respect to the guy for being the first person I've seen with the adult population to actually like address the fact that, everybody, we all voted this man in power, like he's saying, in the United States, and like we kind of did this, and now we're paying the consequences of our actions, which, like I said, respect. No one, and this is the thing that I just don't get. When it comes to like decisions and our free will, guys, we never really know what's going to happen. And that's why I feel like we need the Lord, because we never really know what's going to happen as a result of our decisions, yeah? So, oh, what a cute little birdie. Are you like a baby crow? We never know what's going to be the result of our decisions. And so in a lot of ways, this is why I think us walking around as any version of pride is silly, because it's like, in order for me to have pride about what I'm doing, that means I would have to know for certain all the implications of every single one of my actions, which I just don't. And I'd also have to know for certain all the actions of all the other humans, which I just don't. I'll give you, and I was just thinking about that as well, in terms of businesses and how the world is crumbling. Right now, you see a lot of, people who are not in the highest level of like world leadership and world management and world business, but are like in the middle range. They're also crashing with us, whether you realize it or not, because the people at top set it up that way that now everything below them is just going to come crashing down, obviously, as their way to swoop in as the saviors and take control, because it's not about money anymore. That's what I realized today. It just hit me like, whatever that's happening in the world, it's not about money anymore. It's all about power, right? And they want power, right? The money is just a means to an end. So they're having all these conversations, and this is the bit that ticks me off, yeah, with Joe. Did something that I told you guys, I think is one of the devil's tactics, which is as Theo's going, oh my gosh, this doesn't make sense, because, and he's bringing up tapes and footage. He's showing this footage of whatever's happening in Iran and their war bases, and then Joe's like, oh, I guess it's AI. And I was like, you flipping little puppet. You little puppet. Like, literally everything I said that was going to happen, I'm seeing it happen in front of my eyes. He's telling Theo Von, he's telling him, you need to come off the antidepressants. It's the discrediting. And then Theo kept circling back to try and talk about the points. And this is where I get annoyed, and why I have to speak up about this stuff, and why I do, and why I care. Why I care to bother watching things, knowing what I'm going to expect, and why I still make videos. Because the reason why I still watch to then talk about it is to give people evidence of what I'm talking about, since we're in a world that's so obsessed with evidence, because especially even believers don't even have the Holy Spirit, so discernment isn't an option. Like I said, in my discernment, I could see a while back, Joe was all for, I was a semi-fan of Joe Rogan, or at least I respected the guy, but it didn't take long for me to feel like, and it's the classic, right? Now he's got this nice, beautiful paycheck from Spotify that he wants to protect. He's in with the big wigs, right? He's in with the big wigs, he's in the big leagues. So he wants to protect his little friendships and his bag and everything. So of course he can't speak up. And this is exactly what I'm accusing everybody of. That we keep doing this as a world. Like, we see the stuff that's going on. We know the truth. And we try to ignore it because we're too comfortable. And this is exactly what I'm talking about when I say about the older generations being comfortable in Egypt. Now, for him, he's one of the higher level slaves, if you will, because to me, if you can't just talk freely, like I've been saying to you guys, the main reason I don't want to be alive is because I don't have freedom. I can't live freely in this world. Everything's being documented. I was thinking, my next door neighbors, love them. I actually just spoke of them. And by the way, very telling. They're very new. They moved in less than a year ago. And they're absolutely lovely. And it's this couple, and they've got a young girl. She's like, 8. And they're just really wholesome. Like, when I watch their family, it makes me realize how dysfunctional a lot of us actually are, because they're just a wholesome, normal family, right? And I just had to knock on their door because I noticed that there was a kid's jacket and shoes just on the floor. And I was like, maybe like their daughter dropped it or somebody dropped it. Maybe they were coming home late and they didn't see it and they hadn't left the house yet or whatever. So I knocked on the door to ask if it was theirs. And so I was having a nice little chat with the lady there. But I was thinking, they installed a Ring camera and they're right next door. So now that's just another form of my freedom that's been taken away, is that somewhere it's documented exactly what time I'm leaving the front door when I'm getting back. Somewhere it's documented. Somewhere someone has that information, and I hate it. So I'm saying, we are slaves. You don't have freedom here. This is why I don't want to be here, because I want to be free. You know, I don't want there to be evidence, because it seems like nothing now. All it takes is something to happen, like God forbid, you guys, something happens to me, you know, end up getting killed in the woods. Next thing, how are we going to get data? We're going to need to do an investigation. Oh, let's go to the Ring camera. You know what I mean? And we're just living in that time now where everything is so traceable. I mean, I've seen people even go to prison purely just based on the fact that their mobile data, their mobile like location, put them at the place and at the time of where something was happening, their mobile phone. And like, this is what I'm saying again, like 50 years ago, I wonder how many people were doing crime and just getting away with it. Like, I'm genuinely scared to find out one day, like, what was actually going on in the generations above before, like, I came along. And you know what made me laugh about this whole conversation with Theo and Joe Rogan? As if it were poetry, I went and checked how old they both were. And of course, Theo's a millennial, as to be expected, you know. I feel like the millennials, I don't know about anybody else, but I feel like us Gen Z and the millennials, yeah, I feel like you guys bought into the rhetoric and the narratives that came from the generations above you about us. And I feel like you guys are starting to realize that we're not the problem, and we're actually both in the same boat, and we actually should just team up together. Because that's how I feel. But listen, I'm not a millennial, so I can't force you guys. But as I said to you guys before, I don't have a problem with millennials. I think you guys are just slower to wake up. And again, I think it's because you are still on the latter end of when there were remnants of a comfortable version of slavery. So it's almost as if, like, if you guys were born in the, like, using the Egypt scenario, it's almost like you, whilst we were born in the wilderness, you guys were like young enough to kind of remember the slavery in Egypt and kind of remember what it was like, because that's literally what my life feels like. Because a lot of things I remember in the world, like even my brother, who's only 3 years younger than me, doesn't remember. You know, so, you know, in the same way that, like, you know, I wasn't on computers and stuff, but I had a big, huge computer that, you know, had a floppy disk, whereas my youngest brother, who's 16 now, we're in the same generation, he's born in, like, he used to beat everybody at Temple Run at, like, 2 years old on iPhone, you know? So that's what I feel like it is millennial to Gen Z. You guys are, like, born at the latter end of slavery, and then, you know, you saw some of it, you believed in some of it, you profited in some way. Oh, I really need to avoid, I think, this person here. And then we were born just in the wilderness. So we're just like, hey, we don't know anything about enjoyment. We don't know anything about enjoyment in Egypt. But yeah, so it doesn't surprise me where Theo Von is at, because I feel like, yeah, I feel like as a society, yeah, based on conversations I've even been having, everyone's finally getting fed up. And do you know what's annoying to me about this? Can I just say, going back to me saying how I was right about everything, is it's a luxury to wake up this late. That's my other thing I want to say. It's a luxury to have woken up this late to what's happening. It's a luxury. It means that your life was comfortable enough that you didn't have to face up to the truth until now. Because I feel like we didn't have a choice in my generation. I'll speak for my own generation only. Like I said, I can't speak for anybody else. So I didn't like this whole conversation, because Theo was asking the real questions, like, what is actually going on with this Iran thing? Because Short even said something like, surely we're saying we should take their weapons or something, he said, or that they shouldn't have weapons, and yet we're the ones who also have our own weapons. So how does that make any sense? And I was like, exactly, because it's been my biggest problem, and it's again stems from me watching anime and realizing that I just say anime because obviously it's like a physical, it's like a picture, it's a way, like a visual representation that I can digest. And one of the things that I've realized from that, and also history, is everybody feels like entitled to do what they want to do everywhere. It's the predatory nature of us as humans. So every empire that's ever come, whoever was the emperor or whoever was the whatever, felt entitled to go and take over whatever land they wanted, felt entitled to go and enslave the people in the places they went, because that was a way of keeping power over them. Same thing what Pharaoh did in Egypt all over again, right? Why did he enslave the people in Egypt in the first place? Because Joseph had existed with the Pharaoh that was before that Pharaoh that enslaved the people of Israel. And obviously, as a result of Joseph and, again, his relationship with God, his isolation, all the things he went through, trials, tribulations, things that everybody else wants to run away from. You know what I mean? So I'm saying, this is why this girl making this dance is making me laugh. Like, really? Is this our solution for the times at hand? A Christian dance class? And you guys, like, as somebody who loves to dance and loves actually teaching, you know, it just hits different for me. But the Pharaoh before had obviously loved Joseph because the people were thriving. The Pharaoh second was not happy that the people of God were thriving, because he was like, what the hell? What if they come against me? He was feeling threatened in his throne of power. See what I'm saying? It's all the same stuff we're seeing today, right? We've got these old bozos clinging on to power all over the world, by the way. I just wanted to clarify. I believe this is happening all over the world. Again, another fact thing that I just don't understand. Like, clearly, everybody's all in cahoots with each other. Like, I remember even back in 2020, you know, seeing the data, and like, this is publicly available, so somebody do the due diligence for the group and go and double check what it is now. But even then, in 2020, China was funding like a third of US media. China. They're saying propaganda. They're all playing us like a fiddle. People are like, oh, Israel talks with Israel. Mate, everybody's all bestie buddies. They're all hanging out together at flipping Epstein Island. We've even seen the proof of it. Anyway, so it's always been like that people are threatened by the people wherever they go, you enslave the people where you take over. That's what you do, because that's how you maintain power. It's been done throughout history. We went through this even in the 400 years between the Old and New Testament. Jesus came when, you know, go and check it out anyways, guys. You know, how we were under Roman rule in Israel, you know, and that's why they put Herod as king over Israel, because they were like, we need our own king to keep these people in check. They can't have their own king. This is why Jesus coming to be the king of the Jews it just politically, forget like religiously, politically was a big deal and was a big problem. Hold on a minute. Yeah, so you see, it's all, and this is why, yeah, again, with this whole Christian thing of, we shouldn't mix religion and politics. Excuse me, the people who are actually controlling our actual lives, making decisions about our livelihoods, and we're saying us Christians shouldn't be getting involved. And again, the pastors being cowards, yeah, preachers, bishops, priests, whatever they call themselves, being cowards and not guiding the people on what they should do. They should be telling us what to do politically. They should be. You know, that's why I respect, you know, the men of God and women of God who I follow, who are currently finally, after all this time, speaking up and saying, yeah, this is who we should and shouldn't be supporting. I'm like, yeah, we should be doing that, because that's the whole point of being a leader. You're supposed to lead the people. Like, what the hell? So, you know, and this is what I'm trying to say. Like, so when I'm seeing this likes of these Joe Rogans, yeah, this is why I say that the older generations are a problem. This is exactly why I'm saying it. Yeah, of course he's the generation above millennials. Because it's selfish. You're comfortably staying in your position, yeah. It's like when I've been having conversations recently about, you know, the state of affairs for people, you know, my age bracket. And once again, the fact that I'm actually employed or I'm actually, like, you know, doing things is working against my message, because, you know, it makes it look to other people who are just tone deaf in other generations like, well, what is the issue with unemployment in your generation? Like, you have a job, like, you have this. And once again, the classic, me succeeding in anything makes life harder for the rest of my generation, which is why I don't want to be the role model, like I said, because I'm the one that people then go and point at to their kids and say, oh, well, because she's doing it, oh, well, she's this, and I'm only doing it because I played a really smart game from the beginning. But let's not forget, I don't have a teaching qualification. Let's remember, I know how to hustle. I know how to get myself into doors that I want to get into. So it's not because I made all the right decisions. And also, I make lots of incredible mentors along the way. A lot of them. So, you know, and that's actually the point, isn't it? That there were people who bothered, like, I used to go for mentoring, like, every week at this church. I told you, the one, John Wesley's, the original Methodist church in London. I used to go there once a week. I used to meet my pastoral mentors. She was Sally. Then I had my business mentor, Kofi, at the business thing. And, like, these people, literally, their advice was life-changing for me. Literally life-changing for me. The things that I learned from these guys And the fact that they just took the time out, and bearing in mind this was all free, might I add, because that's just another thing to talk about, that as a community I feel like we're just too money driven, and there needs to be more. This is why I always reference the Sidemen, which by the way, it's 1 week exactly till the Sidemen charity match. So this time next week, I can't wait. So that's another thing. Like, we as a community need to stop thinking so deeply about where we're going to get money for this, where we're going to get money for that, how much is this going to cost, how much is that going to cost, how much money am I going to get paid for this. Because like I said, the Sidemen, a lot of the stuff they do, and they did in the beginning, both before they were actually a group and even just individually, is they just worked together. They just put their heads together and everybody used whatever skills that they had to make it work. That's how most things start. Like, even my favorite, one of my favorite UK food YouTube channels or companies, Sorted Food, right? 4 guys, once again, similar story. They all were at school, they're all schoolmates, they all went on to study different things. One of them became a teacher, one of them went into like marketing, one of them went into photography, and one of them went to culinary school. They used to meet up, go to the pub, and because the one who went to the pub, because he was getting horrified at what his friends were eating, while they're in the pub, he used to just scribble recipes for them on the napkins. Next thing you know, they decide to start making funny videos to document it for other students, because they're like, oh, this could be really helpful for other students. So they start making videos, and this is like, again, over 10 years ago, like plus. So again, early adopters, people who are willing to take risks, not waiting to see that something has been proven in the evidence that it works, right? But taking a risk. They start making videos. And next thing you know, it turns out all of their skills work pretty well together. One of them being a teacher, he's good at doing the research, explaining what they're doing. The other guy, obviously the professional chef. You've got a guy who's already doing marketing and whatnot, so he knows how to deal with all of that. And then, of course, the other guy who's into photography, so he can do the videography. Sorted, and that's actually what they're called, Sorted. And they start making videos. Fast forward now, these guys are freaking so doing insane. They've opened their own studios. They have this year, they're making it really fun, because their whole thing is, you have Ben, who's like the actual chef, versus, and 2 other chefs, Kush and James. They're all chefs, and the other guys are all considered normals, right? So the whole idea is trying to help normal people, normal home cooks, be able to make, healthy meals. They have these meal packs they do, where you can they just to reduce waste, to help you with recipes and all this stuff. And they built a business, and their videos are funny. There's music and singing, there's costumes. They do this themed thing, like they're winning. But it all started, why? Why did it all start? They're getting to work with some of their favorite brands and companies and meet famous people and travel the world as friends together. You know what I mean? Why? Because they're already willing to put their heads down at the beginning. At first, they started filming in like the shed in one of their friends' back garden, who just let them film there for free. You know what I mean? This is one of those things where I'm like, people really need to shift focus. This is why I always say money is not the greatest resource we have. Time actually is. Because again, had we woken up to a lot of stuff that like I'm talking about, 5 years ago, the situation wouldn't be as bad. The situation we're all in now wouldn't be as bad as it is. Had we all woken up literally like 5 years ago. So the time that we've lost is far greater and far worse than any kind of money we could gain. Do you see what I'm saying? Because we've just given these people more time. And this is my issue with everything happening in the world. We just keep giving these people more and more time to keep doing what they're doing, and to keep hiding stuff. Because while it's taking all these... This is why I have an issue, with court cases that take forever. And again, when the people left Israel, God had his plan of how we're going to deal with disputes. The way he designed Israel in the promised land, right? Everybody, first of all, had their own land. Every single tribe had its own piece of land that was named after it. Every single one of the 12 tribes of Israel. They were all organized like a cross formation, And they each had their own piece of land. It was each unique to their own trade as a people, as a tribe, which then also meant that obviously God had already gifted them all with the skills. So again, this is what I'm saying. God gives you the gifts, the place, everything is all done. It's all in order, right? And so they could all work together. They all had, each tribe has its, its things, which you can see even when Jacob dies and he's giving his sons his farewell speech and everything. He prophesies about all of them, Issachar, the tribe that's going to see the times and the understand the times and the signs of the times, which again, they were known even amongst the world to be amongst the scientists, the physicists, like knowing of the signs in the skies and stuff. And that's even in a worldly sense. The descendants of Issachar, for example, that's one you wouldn't have heard of before. The Levite tribe, they were the tribe that would be the priests, the ones who would, do all the stuff in the temple. So they had their own thing. Obviously Judah, which ended up being, the kingly tribe. That was, well, I don't say the kingly tribe because they're different tribes of kings at points, but David anyways was going to be the ancestor to Jesus. It's all very orderly. It all works. And it all makes sense. And everybody has their place. And everybody has their thing. And God had given instructions that even in that land, there were outskirts places where if you've been exiled because somebody might try to kill you because you did this and that to them, you could go and live in that exiled area over there, and he left Moses. And Moses, there's an interesting part of the Bible, which I feel like is like a reflection of another part of the Bible in Timothy, 2 Timothy, where Moses' father-in-law, because Moses at this point was judging, right? He was judging and he was saying like, oh, I want to, people would bring their disputes. That's what I'm saying. They want to take these 4-year-long, 10-year-long, 20-year-long things with all this evidence, lawyers, whatever. They would just come to Moses. Again, Moses being a Levite, mind you, and Joshua being a Levite. And he would be like, oh, this is how we're going to deal with this issue, right? You're accusing so-and-so of doing this. Okay. And then he would deal with it. Now, because it was overwhelming him, his father-in-law was like, bruh, you can't live like this. You need to choose yourself some other men who are going to be judges. And then he chooses some of them. And again, the list of things, characteristics they had to have is pretty much very similar to the list that Paul gave to Timothy in 2 Timothy, the one about the office of an overseer and the leaders and what kind of men they're supposed to be. So again, the Bible, just like when people are like the Bible, the Old Testament God, New Testament God, I'm like, what's the difference? It's the same guy. Looking like the same guy to me. And so he did that. And so then he had, that's how they dealt with things like in those times. And again, why did we end up with kings in Israel? We weren't even supposed to have kings. We wanted to have judges, right? And then we had the book of Judges. This is where the Judges comes into in the Bible. Well, this is why it's called Judges, because that's what we had. Those were like the people that we went to, the so-called leaders and whatever's who dealt with things, and whatever, which is again, Samson was another one. He was one of the judges. Again, bro didn't go out well, did he? No, he did not. And so we had the book of Judges. And then how did we end up with kings? Because we, the humans, we, the people, with our free will, were asking God, we want a king, we want a king, we want a king. And I've said this before, and I've said it because we talked about Saul and David, got a whole flipping playlist on it, reading through Samuel from Saul to David, 1st and 2nd Samuel. Well, mostly 1st and then a little bit of 2nd. If we ever need to go circle back to that, then we will. I don't know. It's nice and cold. I'm not actually wearing my jacket's just on my arms, and the only reason I'm even wearing it right now is because the clouds looked like it was going to rain, and yeah, I didn't want to be limited. But yeah, it's nice and cold. This is the perfect vibe for me to go back and record my Bible videos, because now I'm going to be nice and cold and frostbitten and had some fresh air. But yeah, so we begged for a king, and God literally says, you guys are going to regret this decision. You guys are going to regret asking for this, and I'm going to give you what you asked anyway, because that's on free will. That's on free will. That's on God answering prayers. So again, this is how we end up with King Saul, the first king. And we all know how that ends. So this just goes to show and goes to ask us, yeah, when we ask of God again, why I think the world is funny, because another thing that Theo Von actually said, he's like, I think Jesus needs to come back and like sort some stuff out. And that hit me hard, because you guys know, I'm like, that's the point. We are supposed to be the force. We are supposed to be the force. Jesus died so we would have the power. And obviously I get where he's coming from. And again, what I really don't like about that whole situation is how it's another episode of some prideful bigwig, being condescending to somebody who's being pure and genuine. Because Theo was just saying how he saw it. He wasn't trying to be divisive. He wasn't trying to start an argument for nothing. He was just confused. And probably, obviously, because he has the reputational persona for a lot of people. I've always thought he's pretty intelligent, but a lot of people treat him like he's an idiot, right? And he seems to kind of think of himself as one, because he kept saying it. Because he says, I don't know, I probably don't know what I'm talking about. And then Joe's like, yeah, I don't think you do know. Just very condescending, patronizing, just what I would expect from the older generations, like I said. And it annoys me, this upsets me, because this is how I look at the world that we're living in, is you have the people with these platforms, the leaders and all this, and who are keeping hush hush and working for the devil, yeah, in pride and walking around with all this pride. And then it's the poor innocent folks who genuinely are trying to do good, who are genuinely trying to help others, who are genuinely, like, just genuine, yeah. Like, he was being so genuine. It really was hurting my heart to watch this, by the way. And he's being thrown in his face, and he's just being told, oh yeah, of course you don't know because you're not very smart. Like, he seems pretty smart to me. He seems like the smartest person in the room from what I could see at that moment in time. You know what I mean? But that's the world we're living in. That's why I said this all proves everything I've been saying. Like, literally everything I'm seeing everywhere is proving absolutely everything I've been saying. Literally everything. Literally everything. Literally everything. People get to the top. This is why God wanted to take us through the wilderness, because he didn't want us to be corrupted by access to abundance, because we become corrupt. If you see the real version of yourself, you think now, oh, if I had money, I would do charity, I would do this, I would. But then a lot of people, as soon as they get money, what do? Oh, I'm going to buy a Lamborghini, I'm going to buy this big house. I'm like, what happened to all the work? And then God is the one who knows us better than ourselves. And he knows the realities of what's going to happen. And so while we're here begging the Lord for a king, like I said with Saul, and God's like, you guys are going to regret this. I think we were begging him for a king because I think we saw that that's what the world was doing, that they had kings. God had a way of us operating within our own camp, within our own group, within the promised land, yeah? And this is what he was teaching Moses and all of them. So he taught this to Moses. So let's remember that this is being taught in the wilderness. So the wilderness, I believe, is like where God is teaching us about how things are supposed to operate in the promised land, right? So because remember, Moses never made it there. So this is as they're learning their new customs, because that was what God was doing, right? Hence why he goes up to the mountain, he gets all the rules. Hence how we got the golden calf. Because Moses was taking a bit long having a conversation. The people were getting impatient and restless, typical, so they run to the world, just like we do as believers. God doesn't do what you want the way you want it in your timing, and so you go to the world's conclusion, you go to the world's thing. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You think that something needs to happen in a certain way, and you pray for it, and then because it doesn't happen in that certain way, you go and find any other way to do it. It's like the way I look at loans. I have a big issue with borrowing money, because I really feel like, yeah, guys, all this stuff we've all been sold about things like loans, insurance, credit scores, all this stuff, yeah, credit cards, all this installment payments. I don't do none of those things, yeah. I really believe it's all going to backfire on us. I really do, because it was all cute and fun and dandy, yeah, when we were all feeling comfortable and stable in our jobs. But I'm like, this is why I don't like to, I'm like, if I can't buy something full out, I don't want to all of it in one go. I'm not buying it. And that includes anything. That would include a house, that would include a car, anything. Because who knows, your financial situation changes and now you're contractually bound and now you're a slave. And again, I've said it again, it's a biblical concept. The Bible says that, that you should not be a borrower, but rather a lender. Again, which community went and took that and ran with it, and look at how minted they are? The Jewish community. That's exactly how they got rich. They thought, we're going to own it. Everyone's going to owe us money, and we're going to just borrow everybody money, right? I even did the whole videos where I talked about, the Mayor Rothschild, the first Rothschilds, who grew up, again, treated like peasants by the Christians, unfortunately, right? They treated them like dirt. They used to have to get in the gutter and bow before them in Germany, in Frankfurt. He said never again, right? And this ain't happening again. Starts, selling things and finding money and selling fancy coins, gets himself in with the big wigs, starts to be quite wealthy himself, has a lot of wealth, yada, yada, yada. He happens to have somebody entrust him with all their money because he can be trusted with money because he's good with money. Again, like the world tells you that being good with money is going into debt all the time. Being good with money is having a credit score. Being good with money prove that you can do this and do that. I don't think so. Because what if your life dramatically changes overnight? What if your life dramatically changes tomorrow? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Because that's what they're going to do, guys. They're just going to pull the rug from underneath us immediately out of nowhere. That's what they're setting us all up for. Oh, we have this, do this, right? And then they're going to pull the rugs from underneath us, and then that's when they're going to pull in the mark of the beast. Right there. When you're now in a place of desperation. And again, because you're just used to running back to the golden calf, how do you know you're not going to do it again? Like the people of Israel. Meanwhile, God is trying to cook, and God is trying to say, hey, look, guys, I know things are like this, but I need you to hone in and focus on what I'm telling you to do. I need you to hone in and learn my skills. I know the world is doing this. I know the world said to do that. Don't do it. Don't do it. Spend within your means. Like, rather be a lender rather than a borrower. Like, don't fall for the world's way of doing stuff. Don't do it. And then we do. And then you know who we go to then when it all doesn't work out? God. We circle back around like, oh God, you know that advice that you told us that we didn't listen to? Can you actually help us get out ourselves? And obviously that's what we should do, guys. This is what God wants us to do. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But I'm just saying about like how we got here. This is why the pride doesn't make any sense to me. Of Moses' generation. Like, we're literally watching it in 4K. The pride of the world, the people that take pride in like their life and their job and their this, and how you're living your life, and you wake up in the morning and you feel proud of yourself. Like, you should be ashamed. You're living like the world. You should be ashamed of yourselves. We all should be ashamed of ourselves. I'm ashamed. I'll start. Hey, the heck, I'll start. Oh, people are actually playing golf on the golf course. It is my dream one of these days to just walk down here and the sidemen are playing golf, because nowadays, now they're getting older. This is why I'm clinging on to the sidemen charity match with all my heart, because they're all getting married and having kids now, which is so annoying. Because I know that these videos, the Sidemen Sundays and stuff, are going to come to an end. And one of the things they like to do is a lot of them play golf now, and they play golf a lot. So I'm going to peep at these guys playing golf quickly. Love the golf course. And they've done so many funny golf-related videos. Some of my favorite videos actually are golf-related. I might watch some today because it's the Sabbath. After I finish my videos, I'm just going to be hanging out and chilling. So yeah, you guys see what I'm saying anyways. Like, it is exactly what I think it is. It's exactly what I think it is. It's exactly what I think it is and what I thought it is. And that's why I feel like I'm the one who doesn't want to be here, and other people are confused as to why I have such a disdain with living. And I'm like, why are you so comfortable here? It's like the Bible says, if you love the world, the love of the Father is not in you. God has his own way of doing stuff, right? He has his own way of doing stuff. We're supposed to be, people want to talk about holy and set apart. Like I said, holy and set apart, circling back to the dance thing, yeah? Set apart. People want to be holy and set apart. Like, oh, I wake up and I'm the most modest of all modesties of ever. I've never said a swear word in my life. I've never even smelled the smell of an alcohol. I'm just the most purest and honest. And I'm a virgin and I'm this, yeah? But you don't want to be set apart. Set apart means different. Like, we should look different. So why are we sweeping pedophiles under the carpet like the world is? Why are we going to the justice system, right? The justice system for our justice like the world is? Because even by the time Jesus wanted to die, this is how pathetic we are. This is how pathetic the older generations look like to me, yeah? When the Jews wanted to kill Jesus, they didn't even have the legal right to do so. They had to get the Romans to do it, because they were now not even in power of themselves anymore. Meanwhile, God had said all the way back in the Old Testament, like I said, we just talked about, God gave them their own land, their own place, their own system. You're set apart. You're here. This is you. The rest of the world is out there. They leave them to it. We're here, right? Same like Garden of Eden. Fast forward, what do we do with that? Now they want to kill Jesus. They can't even legally kill Jesus. They have to get... It's pathetic. So I'm saying it's pathetic. This is why, yeah, I have so much respect for the small humility of Theo. Well, it was not small, big humility of Theo to say, hey, we all did this. Like, we all made these decisions that brought us here. This is our fault and this is not good, what we've done. And I was like, praise Jesus for humility. Rather than doubling down or doubling back or doing what Joe was saying, oh, I guess it's just money. Of course, what an easy cop-out answer. Of course, it's easy to just say, oh, money, money, money. Because, of course, that's also what the world eats up. The world loves to eat up the concept that these people are just money hungry and greedy, because then it gives you the excuse to why your life is a shambles. Because then you can say, oh, because look at these people with all their money. Look at the government, blah, blah, blah. When, like I said, it goes so much deeper than money. Like, it's so much deeper than money. Money is just part of the strategy. Yeah, it's a part of the strategy. It's a way for them. It's a resource that they're using. Like, in the same way, they use our attention as a resource as well. I was thinking about this, yeah. The Trevi Fountain, I think I went to it unknowingly in Italy, right, in Rome. The Trevi Fountain, yeah. I'm pretty sure, like, if for those of you who saw the vlogs, which are still there, when we used to leave, when we were walking around, I'm pretty sure I walked past it. And then also in one of the vlogs, I was leaving the venue after we performed, and it was the end of the day, it was in the middle of the night, and where our cabs were was by a fountain, and I think that fountain was the Trevi Fountain, if you go and check in the video. Did you know that just from people throwing money into that fountain every year, like probably like €1, yeah, there's $1 million. They raise €1 million every year in that fountain. Then this is what I mean when I say about the power being with the people. Because when every single person goes there and throws their one little euro, they probably don't even remember, or maybe they do, they just took a cute photo there. That euro didn't feel like it meant a lot to them in the moment they were spending it, right? It didn't seem like it was a big deal. But the collective aspects of us all throwing €1, which I obviously didn't, and you guys know why I don't. The whole idea of throwing money into the water is to what? Pay the water spirits as a sacrifice, as an offering to water spirits, to demons. That's where that whole thing comes from. And again, we even had pastors and people, like I said, that ex-witch guy was talking about how in order for these pastors to gain power over their congregations, they would go and do rituals at graves and in the water. To deities, to dead spirits of the dead, and to the spirits in the waters, to then get people in their services to give them money. So people are actually under demonic. Guys, I actually see what I mean when I say I've overdosed on knowledge now, and there's no going back. But back to what I was saying. So even though we think our little decision, like I was saying yesterday about why I have to now give up Crunchyroll because Disney bought it, which is why I used to watch anime. Even though it's every one of us, and us as humans, we love to do but I'm just doing this one, so it's just, it's always it's just me just doing this one, so my contribution isn't that much. No. The point is that all of our contributions all together are very important, because if we didn't all do something together, it wouldn't work. And this is what I said to you guys about, I learned in school, because we used to do this at school, where me and my whole entire class, I don't know why we started doing stuff like this, yeah? But let's just say there was too many mischievous ones of us in one class at a time. And there was a few things that we used to do. We used to terrorize the poor teachers, yeah? One of the things we used to do is one of us would decide we were going to do something. So everybody's going to tap their pencils on the table, on top of the table. And all we would do is somebody would count. As we would count down, there'd be a couple of us designated across the classroom. We'd all count down, and we'd all immediately start tapping our pencils. And the thing is, nothing could be done. You know why? Because what are you going to do? Put us all in internal exclusion? You can't do that. So nothing would happen. They couldn't do anything because they were outnumbered. And we would do stuff like this. We would randomly start doing stuff like this all the time. And then the teachers would be standing there going, what are you guys doing? And we didn't care because there's nothing they could do. What are you going to do? Put us all in trouble. It was like one time when one girl had thrown a rubber and it hit the projector, right? Back in the days when you had projectors, now it's all smart, whatever. But anyway, it hit the projector and it switched it off. So in the middle of the teacher was talking and we all saw it because obviously the projector's above us, so we can all see what happened. She proceeds now to go and ask the whole entire class. Yeah, this was actually in chemistry, ironic. She proceeds to go and ask the whole entire class, who did it, right? And because we stayed in solidarity, no one budged, no one said anything. They couldn't do anything. They went and tried to call the head of year, couldn't do anything. In fact, another time when she left the classroom, my class, in the middle of the whole of the entire science block here, don't know why we were doing this, but I kind of feel like it was all to it all built up for this in a way. We all started chanting, we were singing We Will Rock You, and we were banging our hands on the desks and singing it loud enough for the whole of science block to hear. And in these situations, they couldn't do anything. What are you going to do? Call in the entire class of parents to come in this evening? What are you going to do? You can't, because they can't pinpoint one thing. The power was with us. They couldn't do anything. Those times, I didn't get in trouble for nothing. Because the people were in solidarity. That's why I'm like, enough of us. Oh, what a cute little birdie. Oh my gosh, that bird is so cute. Hold on. That's why I get frustrated, because I'm like, anything that we're not happy about, they're messing around with the taxes. We all just don't pay tax. Just don't do it. We'll just say no. We all just say no. We all just say no. We just say no. You know what I mean? I don't know why no one in the US hasn't stood up and said, hey, let's all not say we're not showing up to work until healthcare is included. Why are you guys paying for healthcare? Like, and the thing is, all it takes is people to actually shut up, boss up, and stand up and do it. Because think about it, the only way these people have money is because we're all working in their businesses. That's the only reason. That's the only reason they have anything. Think about these supermarkets and the prices. All it takes is all the staff to not show up. The people who do the packaging, the people who drive the trucks from the warehouses and carry the containers, the people who show up and fill the shelves, the people who are at the tills. If no one shows up and we say we are not showing up until the prices go down, the prices will go down. But this is what I'm saying. I feel like we're in a world that's run by people who are too comfortable in slavery. And who want to protect their position. And that's what my problem was with Joe. And he's a perfect example of exactly that. Because now he's got a good life for himself. You know what I mean? He forgot the days of his hustle. This is the problem with these older generations. Yeah, I've even noticed this in the entertainment industry. Like when I look at old school, like even the old school like musicians and their movies and how they used to be when they were like young, even comedians, because I'm really into comedy. Like these days, the last few years, I really got into comedy. When you watch them at the beginning, they were humble, they were hustling, they were grinding. And like they were relatable. Like even if you look at say rap, for example, like my friend of mine, the one who went back to Turkey to go to war, right? He always used to play, right? He always used to play old school rap, yeah, which is just the most randomest of things of all time, yeah. And I was like, dude, you're blacker than I am. This is crazy. And as I was listening to this music, yeah, I was thinking, people actually used to be talking about stuff because like I've obviously looked into the history of a lot of music and stuff, and a lot of it started because people were rapping and they were making music and making artwork based on their experiences. Now it's all just some business, and it's like everybody in those older generations has lost sight of the beginning. That's why Hollywood keeps trying to rerun the same movies or come up with the same stupid ideas, like of the same kinds of things. It's like they've lost sight of where the magic was. And they want to protect what they have now. It's like, oh, we can't entertain new talent. We can't let things evolve. We can't let things change. Think about this with my favorite band, you know, one of my favorite bands. And I was thinking how, you know, they're much newer school. They're very new. They don't have a big following. And I was thinking what I love about them. And I love that they didn't feel the need to like put themselves in one category because they're kind of across a number of genres of music. You know, and that's what I like about them because some songs are giving more this and more that. And who said you had to be put in a box anyway? And I feel like that's the life we're living now, where it's like we're moving away from all of that. And that's where we need to go, because now that we all know about the world at large, then we are all going to have to adjust, because we're not all living these tiny little insular experiences where we only know what's happening like in our little humble areas. And now we all have access, whether you can afford to actually travel or not. You know, this is what I loved what iShow Speed does with his travels, because he was even saying, you know, like when he goes around the world, that he loves to show the culture, try the food, get involved with stuff everywhere he goes, because, you know, he wants people to be able to learn about the world through him, even if they can't afford it themselves necessarily, which I thought was a really beautiful idea. You know, like we need to evolve. And that's my problem, where it's like I feel like we're trying to do something and we're like hitting a ceiling, and that ceiling is just this layer of pride in this generation that is protecting the gatekeepers who are the problem. That's what it is. They're protecting the gatekeepers that are the problem because they don't want to have to lose their position. They don't want to be out of discomfort. And it feels like we're just hitting against this wall. And it's a wall of pride. It's a wall of we're all guilty because we're all into kids and we're all doing weird stuff with kids. When it was acceptable, we want to hide because we don't want to threaten, you know, like I said, Sabine Hossenfelder, we did all about her, the particle theoretical physicist. Like I'm saying, I've got examples in everything from everywhere on this channel, yeah? That's why I'm like, God, what else do I need to actually do at this point? Like, genuinely speaking, either just let me die or like, let's get straight to the plan. Revolution, underground tunnels, promised land. Like, let's just get to the point, because what more should I say? Sabine Hossenfelder, she even said, there's not enough empirical evidence anymore in physics. Oh, but that's the whole thing that's supposed to make physics and science trustworthy, is that there's empirical evidence, right? The evidence everybody's so obsessed with, yeah? But then, so why is that? And why is that being allowed? And why is everybody turning a blind eye? Oh, we all saw the letter she got from one of her peers in the field. We know what you're saying is true, but you know, some of us have livelihoods, we have mouths to feed and families to feed. Shut up! Shut up! I'm sick of hearing about people talking about basic survival when God literally created us to live freely. Free! 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 Like, this is why, again, when the world thinks, oh God, being with God, like, that's slavery. Dude, anyway, I'm gonna go. Happy Sabbath. Really glad I got all of that on my chest. Not glad that I was right again, but the case in point. And this is why, guys, I be keeping up with some of the stuff that goes on in the world and stuff, because I want to be able to tell you guys so that you guys can see I'm not just in my head making stuff up. You can see the proof. The proof is right before us. It's in the world itself. That's what I love about social media. That's why I spend time on social media. Because no one can tell me I'm not right when I have real life examples right in front of you that you can go and check, not just my anecdotes from my own life or my experiences that can be picked apart and critiqued and dismantled and repackaged and re-whatevered. Go and make your own choice, because this is what I said, guys. This is what I want us to do in the winning team. I'm not like, my whole job role here is not like, as the captain of the winning team, is not to come and get here, you guys to agree with me. It's to encourage you guys, to give you food for thought, to go and make your own choices, to think critically for yourself, come to your own conclusion. And this is why I feel like I have a relationship with God the way I do and other Christians don't, because my relationship isn't based off of just blindly following. It's testing and speaking with the Lord for myself, building a relationship for myself, assessing everything in the world across the board for myself. A lot of that research is right here on this channel. You guys have been part of it. I love you guys so much. I need to get back into the book of Job. I really feel like I can't be bothered, but I'm going to try. Anyways, I really want to finish it before we get to Pentecost. That's my goal. So anyways, you guys, I hope this video has been helpful, because listen, I don't care what anybody has to say. I'm cooking, and I've been cooking, and I feel like I deserve more respect than what I'm getting in this life, to be honest with you. Am I chaotic? Yes. Do I make a lot of mistakes? Absolutely. Do I get some things wrong? Of course. But a lot of the time, and a huge chunk of the time, I've been cooking. And while I've been being told to silence or being critiqued or whatever, similar to Theo Von, oh, you need medication, to come off the medication, whatever. But then I'm right. Huh? Anyways, I'm going to go probably record, and then I'm going to be watching Sidemen videos probably and just laughing away the rest of the day till the end of the Sabbath, because if life's a game, let's play to win. I love you guys, and it's so nice to have like humans that I can actually talk to who are actually like trying to do some stuff and like actually understand some stuff and like actually utilizing the brain that God gave us. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. Did I say if life's a game, it's play to win? God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. And I'll see you in the next one.